Maya Chen had always believed that numbers told the truth, even when people lied. As a forensic accountant for the city prosecutor's office, she spent her days unraveling financial mysteries that others preferred to keep buried. Tonight, however, she wished the numbers had lied. The spreadsheet glowing on her laptop screen revealed a pattern so disturbing that she had checked it 3 times, hoping for an error. Meridian Construction Company, one of the city's most respected firms, had been systematically overcharging the city for public works projects. But that wasn't the worst part. The excess funds were being funneled through shell companies owned by city council members. Maya rubbed her tired eyes and glanced at the clock. Past midnight again? The office building was empty except for the night security guard, but she couldn't leave.
Yet.
She had stumbled onto corruption that reached into the highest levels of city government, and every instinct told her she was in danger. Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Stop digging, or you'll regret it." Maya's blood turned cold. She grabbed her laptop and the printed documents, shoving everything into her briefcase. Someone knew what she had discovered, and they were watching her closely enough to know she was working late. As she hurried toward the elevator, the lights in the hallway flickered and went out. Emergency lighting cast eerie shadows, and Maya heard the distinct sound of footsteps echoing from the stairwell. Someone else was in the building, and they weren't supposed to be there. Her hands trembling, Maya pressed the elevator button repeatedly, but the floors seemed to tick by impossibly slowly. The footsteps were getting closer. When the doors finally opened, she practically threw herself inside, jabbing the parking garage button as her heart pounded against her ribs. The elevator descended in agonizing silence, and Maya realized she had made a terrible mistake. The parking garage would be dark, isolated. If someone wanted to silence her permanently, it would be the perfect place to do it. When the doors opened, Maya stepped cautiously into the dimly lit garage, every shadow potentially hiding a threat. Her car seemed miles away across the concrete expanse. She took a deep breath and started walking, her heels echoing loudly in the cavernous space. That's when she saw him leaning against her car. The man straightened as Maya approached. Even in the dim garage lighting, she could see he was expensively dressed. His suit was tailored perfectly, his posture confident. But his presence here at this hour sent alarm bells ringing in her mind. "Miss Chen," he said, his voice smooth and cultured. "We need to talk." Maya stopped 10 feet away, clutching her briefcase like a shield. "Who are you? How do you know my name?" "I'm someone who's been watching Meridian Construction for a very long time." He stepped into the light, revealing sharp features and intelligent dark eyes. "My name is Alexander Kane, and I think we can help each other." "I'm calling security," Maya said, reaching for her phone. "The security guard is taking an extended coffee break, courtesy of a very generous tip," Alexander replied calmly. "Don't worry, I'm not here to hurt you. In fact, I'm probably the only thing standing between you and some very dangerous people. Who would prefer your investigation never saw daylight?" Maya's grip tightened on her phone. "You're threatening me?" "I'm warning you." Alexander took a careful step closer, his hands visible and empty. Meridian Construction isn't just overcharging the city. They're the financial arm of a much larger operation that includes money laundering, bribery, and worse. The people you're investigating have killed to protect their secrets. "Then why aren't you going to the police?" Alexander's laugh was bitter. "Because 3 of the 5 people I'd need to report to are on Meridian's payroll, you've uncovered. Something that goes all the way to the mayor's office, Maya. The traditional channels won't work here." Despite her fear, Maya found herself curious. "How do you know all this?" "Because Meridian destroyed my family's construction business 5 years ago," Alexander said quietly. "They used the same tactics they're using now. Bribes, threats, and when those didn't work, they had my father's warehouse burned down with him inside it." The raw pain in his voice was impossible to fake. Maya felt her defensive stance soften slightly. "I'm sorry for your loss, but that doesn't mean I can trust you." "You're right to be cautious," Alexander agreed. "But right now, you have 2 choices. You can try to take down this conspiracy alone, with your limited resources and no protection. Or you can work with someone who has the means to see this through to the end." And what exactly are you proposing? Alexander smiled, but there was no warmth in it. I'm proposing we bring down everyone involved, from the construction crews to City Hall. But first, we need to keep you alive long enough to testify. A car engine echoed through the garage, growing louder as it approached their level. Alexander's expression immediately shifted to high alert. We need to leave. Now, he said urgently. Those aren't friendly faces coming to check on you. Maya heard the menace in the approaching engine and made a split-second decision. Where's your car? Alexander's car turned out to be a sleek black BMW parked in the shadows near the exit ramp. As they reached it, headlights swept across the garage, level behind them, and Maya heard car doors slamming. Get in, Alexander said tersely, already starting the engine. Maya threw herself into the passenger seat just as two men in dark clothing appeared around the corner of the parking structure. The BMW shot forward, tires squealing against the concrete as they raced toward the exit. Maya twisted in her seat to see the men sprinting after them, one of them speaking rapidly into a radio. Who were those people? Maya gasped as they emerged onto the empty street. Meridian's cleanup crew, Alexander replied grimly, taking a sharp turn that pressed Maya against the door. They handle problems that can't be solved with money. You mean they kill people when necessary? Alexander's knuckles were white. On the steering wheel, your investigation got too close to something they can't afford to have exposed. Maya's mind reeled as the implications sank in. I need to go to the FBI. This is bigger than local corruption. Not yet, Alexander said firmly. We need more evidence, and we need it presented in a way that can't be buried or dismissed. Right now, you have financial records that could be explained away by good lawyers. We need something undeniable. They drove in tense silence for several minutes before Alexander pulled into the parking lot of an upscale hotel. Kaya noticed he chose a spot with clear views in all directions and easy access to two different exits. I have a suite here, he explained. Secure, and it'll give us time to plan our next move. Maya hesitated. Everything about this situation screamed danger, but Alexander had just saved her from whatever those men in the garage had planned. I don't even know who. You really are. Alexander turned off the engine and faced her fully. Alexander Kane, age 31, owner of Kane Industries, a technology consulting firm. I graduated from Northwestern with degrees in computer science and business. My father was Thomas Kane of Kane Construction, and 5 years ago he was murdered because he refused to participate in Meridian's bid-rigging scheme. The raw honesty in his voice convinced Maya more than any credentials could have. What do you want from me? Your financial expertise and your access to city records, Alexander said. In exchange, I'll provide protection and the resources to see this investigation through to the end. We expose everyone involved, from the street level to City Hall. Maya looked at the hotel entrance, then back at Alexander's serious face. And after that, we both get our lives back, he said quietly. You get justice for the taxpayers who've been robbed, and I get justice for my father. Maya took a deep breath and made her decision. All right, but I have conditions. Alexander nodded. Name them. Complete transparency between us. No secrets, no hidden agendas. And if at any point I think you're putting me in unnecessary danger, I walk away. Agreed, Alexander said immediately. And anything else? Maya smiled for the first time since discovering the financial irregularities. Yes, room service. Haven't eaten since breakfast, and if we're going to take down a criminal conspiracy, I'm going to need sustenance. Alexander's answering smile was genuine, transforming his entire face. I think we're going to work well together, Maya Chen. As they walked toward the hotel entrance, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that her life had just changed forever. She was no longer just an accountant uncovering fraud. She was part of something much larger, much more dangerous, and possibly much more meaningful than anything she had ever done. 3 days later, Maya stared at the wall of evidence they had assembled in Alexander's hotel suite. Financial records, photographs, intercepted communications, and witness statements covered every available surface. The scope of the conspiracy was breathtaking. It's not just about the construction contracts, Maya said, pointing to a particularly damning set of bank transfers. They're using the city projects to launder money from drug trafficking. The overcharges are just the tip of the iceberg. Alexander nodded grimly from where he sat at his laptop, monitoring encrypted communications between Meridian executives. My contact at the FBI is ready to move, but she needs one more piece. Something that directly connects Mayor Hartwell to the operation. I think I found it, Maya said, pulling up a file on her computer. Look at this property transfer from last year. Hartwell's wife purchased a $2 million house in Aspen, paying cash. But their declared income couldn't support that kind of purchase, and the money came from. Maya traced the electronic trail with her finger. A shell company that received payments from Meridian just days before the property purchase. A direct line from the city contracts to the mayor's personal wealth. Alexander stood and walked to the window, checking the street below out of habit. Over the past 3 days, they had developed an easy partnership that surprised them both. Maya's analytical mind complemented Alexander's strategic thinking. And despite the danger, she found herself genuinely enjoying working with him. There's something I haven't told you, Alexander said suddenly, still looking out the window. Maya's stomach dropped. They had promised complete honesty. What is it? Alexander turned, and she could see the conflict in his expression. The night my father died, he called me. Said he had evidence that would bring down Meridian once and for all. When I got to the warehouse, it was already in flames. The fire department said it was an electrical problem, but I knew better. What kind of evidence? Security footage showing Mayor Hartwell meeting with Meridian executives discussing specific city contracts and their kickback percentages. Alexander ran a hand through his hair. I've spent 5 years looking for another copy of that footage. Maya processed this information, understanding flooding through her. That's why you really approached me. You didn't just want to help with my investigation. You thought I might lead you to that evidence. Initially, yes, Alexander admitted. But Maya, after working with you these past few days, I care about more than just revenge. I care about what happens to you. Before Maya could respond, Alexander's phone rang. He answered quickly, his face growing increasingly grave as he listened. We have a problem, he said after hanging up. My FBI contact just called. Someone leaked information about our investigation. Meridian knows we're working together, and they're moving to eliminate all evidence tonight. Maya felt the walls closing in. What does that mean for us? It means we have about 6 hours before they destroy everything we need to prove our case, Alexander said, already moving toward his computer. And it means they'll be coming for us soon, as if summoned by his words. The sound of car engines filled the parking lot below. Alexander glanced out the window and cursed under his breath. How many? Maya asked, grabbing her laptop and the most crucial documents. Too many, Alexander replied, but I have an idea. It's risky, but it might be our only chance to get this evidence to the FBI before Meridian can cover their tracks. Maya looked at the man who had saved her life and become her partner in seeking justice. Despite the danger, despite the uncertainty, she trusted him completely. What do you need me to do? 6 months later, Maya stood on the courthouse steps, watching Mayor Hartwell being led away in handcuffs. The FBI raid on Meridian Construction had yielded enough evidence to bring down the entire conspiracy, resulting in dozens of arrests and millions of dollars in recovered funds. Feels good, doesn't it? Xander's voice came from beside her. Maya turned to smile at the man who had become so much more than a partner in their investigation. It feels like justice. The trial had been swift and decisive. Alexander's technology had helped them recover the deleted security footage from his father's warehouse, and Maya's financial analysis had provided the roadmap for the FBI to follow the money trail all the way to the top. Every major player in the conspiracy was now facing serious prison time. Any regrets? Alexander asked, as they walked down the courthouse steps together. Maya considered the question seriously. The past 6 months had been the most dangerous, challenging, and ultimately rewarding of her life. Her work with the prosecutor's office had earned her national recognition, and she had been offered positions with several federal agencies. But more importantly, she had found something she hadn't been looking for. Only one, she said, stopping to face Alexander directly. I regret that it took a criminal conspiracy for us to meet. Alexander's smile was warm and genuine. We could always pretend we met at a coffee shop like normal people. Too late for that, Maya laughed. I'm pretty sure our first date story will always involve people trying to kill us. Speaking of which, Alexander said, suddenly looking nervous in a way that had nothing to do with armed criminals. I have something for you. Maya watched in amazement as Alexander dropped to one knee right there on the courthouse steps, pulling out a small velvet box. Maya Chen, he said, his voice carrying the same determination that had helped them bring down Meridian Construction. You're the most brilliant, brave, and beautiful woman I've ever known. You've changed my life in ways I never thought possible. Will you marry me? Maya looked down at the man who had saved her life, trusted her completely, and helped her find a purpose greater than herself. The ring in the box was beautiful, but it was the love and hope in Alexander's eyes that made her decision easy. Yes, she said, laughing as tears streamed down her cheeks. Yes, absolutely yes. As Alexander slipped the ring onto her finger and stood to kiss her, Maya realized that sometimes the most unexpected paths led to the most extraordinary destinations. She had started as a forensic accountant looking for financial irregularities. She was ending as a woman who had helped bring justice to an entire city and found the love of her life in the process. The reporters gathering around them called out questions about the trial, the investigation, and now the engagement, but Maya only had eyes for Alexander. They had faced down criminals together, exposed corruption at the highest levels, and built something beautiful from the ashes of tragedy. So what's next for us? Maya asked as they made their way through the crowd. Alexander's grin was infectious. Well, I was thinking we could try having a normal relationship for a while. You know, dinner dates that don't involve fleeing from armed men. Quiet evenings that don't require checking for surveillance. Maybe even a wedding that doesn't double as a witness protection operation. Maya laughed, feeling lighter than she had in months. That sounds perfect. But just so you know, if you ever get bored with normal, I'm pretty good at finding financial irregularities. I'll keep that in mind, Alexander said, pulling her close as they reached his car. But right now, the only thing I want to investigate is how to make you happy for the rest of our lives. As they drove away from the courthouse toward their new life together, Maya reflected on how completely her world had changed. She had set out to uncover the truth about some suspicious numbers, and instead had found her purpose, her courage, and her soulmate. Sometimes the best discoveries were the ones you never saw coming. Asterisk the and deal like this video if the story touched your heart. Subscribe for more emotional tales and share with someone who believes in the power of true love. And let us know in the comments. We love connecting with our global community of romance lovers.